I should get my thing up. Hold on. I can't talk right now.
You are listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place where we're entitled to Brad's opinion.
Yes, they're going to hear you.
Oh.
And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Yeah, they heard you. We're trying to get your phone up there, get your Facebook thing going. It's great.
I have to get my questions. I think I only had 2, but
That's fine. I bet they're more or less the same questions that I would be getting.
probably.
This is Shandy Stogsdill. We're going to be talking about the real estate market. And normally you come in with a bunch of notes, but really it's kind of pointless right now because you don't know where it's going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And be sure to tune in Monday.
There's your answer. No.
Just kidding.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about where it's going and what's happening with the rates and a couple of things I read in the paper about real estate values in the DFW area and if that applies here in Burleson. And just, what her customers are saying, what her clients, what they're thinking. Are they starting to sweat and worry? And I'm afraid I'm going to have to use the Z word in our interview.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you can. That's fine.
Okay, it's Zillow for those who don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I get the monthly or evaluations.
Yeah.
And for the first time in like 3 years, it dropped. I mean, not much, like 1.2%.
Right.
But that's the first time it's dropped in probably since 18, if it did then.
Right. But now just that one statement is going to cause panic. So we need to clarify that.
Okay. Well, because my house dropped in value, I don't think I'm the bellwether of this community.
No,
for that.
I'm just saying that I feel like people tend to hear little, just little buzz notes here and there instead of looking at the whole situation. And then they're like, oh, the market is falling.
No. I don't want to imply that. I know that my word can move markets, but still.
Yes.
But still, my house value has gone up so high.
Yes.
In the last 3 years, but even the last 12 months, that it was noteworthy that it finally ticked back a hair. And so, if you want to look at my house value now, as it was maybe 5 years ago, it's considerably more valuable.
Yeah. So what I would say is if anybody is listening right now.
What do you mean if?
I mean, I know a lot of people listen later, and I'm sorry. I can go on the thread later and kind of answer things. But if you're listening right now, then if you drop questions because it will be helpful. And it's easier for me to answer the questions that you need answered than to just try to guess as to what you want to know. I will give my best professional and educated advice.
There you go. Well, I can't ask for more than that.
So I think, I had a question on my Facebook.
Wait, we had to do the sponsors.
Gosh. Okay, let's do the
We're
sponsors.
going to do the sponsors. Doggone 'em.
I do like all the sponsors. Let's do it.
Yeah,
They're
okay. CrossFit Burleson. Thank you, Daniel. 317 Southwest Wilshire. Throw the iron around. They got trainers. They got plans. They got programs. They got the whole 9 yards. It's clean. It's safe. It's well lit.
Who wrote that?
I just make it up.
Oh, okay.
No, Daniel's like, well, I asked him, what do you want me to say? Whatever. And just.
Daniel's a good sport.
Yeah, he really is. So, but it's a nice place to go work out. For that kind of workout, you don't want some greasy garage.
I know lots of people that go there. Lots of great people.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
And then maybe a few not so great, but still they go.
I don't know the not so great people.
Okay. Well, anyway, Daniel, it's a good place to go. It's in, some of these workout gyms, it's a garage, with some iron. No, it's a nice place. It's a good place to go. You can take your mother there. Anyway, also, then we have you, of course. You're going to be telling us all about your business at length.
Yes.
So, and things are busy, I hope.
Things are steady still.
Steady. Okay, good.
It's not, it feels a little PTSD-ish because we went from crazy busy to steady, which feels like what's happening, but it's okay. I mean, it gives us time to do the real work and not just trying to keep up with the busyness.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be talking about you at length.
Yes.
And so, but if you're looking to buy, talk to Shandy here. She knows what's going on. She is the real estate guru of Johnson County. Is that right? Well, it's good enough. All right. Anyway, and then our friend Otto, of course, who is like, you want to know what's going on in town, go to Otto's.
That's true.
It's just a place where things are, people talk, they visit, that's where you find out all the news. It seems like, but Otto is a great place to go, our place.
And they have really good waffles.
They do. You see, I can't have the waffles because of the diabetes, but the chicken fried steak, which also is not great for me, but I'll say tough.
Yeah, that's what my number one child likes too.
Oh, yeah. It's really good. And I usually go there for breakfast stuff, and it's all good. And I like sitting out there on that patio out there. Mm-hmm. It's just hometown. So I'll probably be seeing Otto at least twice next week. We have a breakfast every other Thursday morning, and I'm there barely making it groggy while these old men, they get up at 4:30 anyway.
You don't do that?
Please. I only recognize one 4:30 a day.
I woke up at 4:30 this morning, so I don't know.
Well, our place is open at 6. There you go. All right. And then also we have Wild Cigar and Culture with Chris. He's doing well over there. They got a bunch of specials going on. I know that a lot of people are discovering that humidor. Mm-hmm. It's becoming like a go-to place for a lot of the distributors of those type of cigars. Have you ever been in that humidor?
I went in it before they opened. It's really cool. Yeah.
You smoke a cigar every now and then, do you?
Every now and again. It's been a minute, but I do like a good cigar.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the unknown thing, because I know, like Michelle Humphrey, with Hot Work, she'll go in there and have a cigar with her daughter, and so it's like it's not just a man thing.
And a cigar is different. It's not like a cigarette. You're not inhaling it in your lung. It's like the flavor of the tobacco.
Right, and it's class joint. You get yourself a highball, get your cigar. You maybe have a ball game on. You're talking about the latest French novel you read. No, nothing like that. I was reading the classics. No. Well, anyway, if you're going to do that, that's the place to do it.
I don't have the time for that at this point in my life.
All righty. And so thank you, Chris. Also, we have Tiffany. She has her new magazine out. Tiffany Nico, Tiffany Griffin, two of us who knew her before.
She has an event this weekend.
That's right. We're going to, it's coming up. There it is. See.
Yay, I'm coming, Tiffany.
Yeah, all right. Harvest Moon Lantern Festival. I went there last year. Yeah. I'm going to try to go there this year. But, sometimes the schedules conflict, but I recommend going.
Yes. I'm going. I'm not sure I got my ticket yet, but it's on the list to do today.
Yeah, well, it really is fun. I went there last year, and it was kind of a nice, relaxing evening. Mm-hmm. And they, of course, all the stuff that's at Revelry, it'll be open, and Chris will be there, and I don't know if the Doughboy Donuts will be open, who knows? But anyway, Harvest Moon Lantern Festival.
If they were smart, they would be.
Yeah, what I really like way Tiffany runs these things, though. She does this for 2-3 times a year for different types of festivals, and they all come off well. She's very well organized. And that magazine, I do advise people to advertise in that because it goes to so many homes, like 30,000. So thank you, Tiffany. We'll be seeing her Monday. She'll be here on the 10th, and we'll talk all about how this went and her new magazine. All righty. And now we have also Southern Gym. They're open right now. They're open the top of the Windmiller building. They're going to be moving or trying to move before November, before Thanksgiving. But you may know this. Contractors delay things.
Yeah, I talked to Gayla about that yesterday.
Yeah.
She's having a hard time.
Well, I was going to ask you about that in a minute about the B&I, what you thought of that. But it was, she's really pulling her hair out because they say, okay, we're going to be doing it on this date. And when this date comes, something happened. And we'll kick it back another week. And she's about ready to, she wants this thing done,
Yeah.
But it's going to double her inventory, and she's going to have, more services. She does a whole jewelry service. It isn't just a jewelry store. You want cleanings, you want repairs. They do a lot of repair work. You want designs. They could do the whole thing. So it's a really good joint, to go, take your beloved.
It's like the classier version of Willard's, which Willard's is not here anymore.
Right.
So.
Well, Kayla told me, and I heard this also from someone else, that Willard's basically, if you will, bequeathed their clients to her, and that tells you something, that they would trust their clients with her. Yeah. It wasn't like, well, we have nowhere else to go. No, the Willards, when they were retiring, they said that's where you want to take your business from now on.
Nice.
So that was So that was a good recommendation. Also, Hot Works. Did you talk to Michelle yesterday?
I did. Yes.
Okay, so you all hooked up with the regimen there.
Yes.
Which one of the 11 infrared workouts do you prefer?
I haven't done one yet.
Oh, I thought you...
No.
Okay.
Hot Blast or Hot Thunder?
He does them.
Oh, yeah. Anything... I don't know. That sounds like I would throw up.
No.
Hot Blast, Hot Thunder.
Thunder's like a rowing one. It's difficult, but I love it.
I'm like...
What?
Slow burn.
Oh, okay. What do you want? Hot,
He's on
easy
hot buns.
chair?
Yes. Yeah.
Hot,
Like,
easy chair with the
is
TV
there a
and book.
sauna?
Is there like someone to sit there? You know, they got yoga and they got like rowing and they got aerobics.
I do like rowing.
Yeah, they got the whole 9 yards. So it's
Hot thunder.
and
I need to do yoga. My problem is I hold my breath when I do yoga. That's a bad idea.
okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, but anyway, but it's over in 731 and it's safe, clean, secure, and bright, and all this. You know, that's a big deal though, security, because you can go there at 3 a.m. if you wanted to, if you had the codes. But I went over there last week for a little sponsor care, if you will, and they still, have to let me in. Hey, don't you know who I am? But they still have to let me in. So there you are.
Oh gosh.
I know.
He's getting a little big for his britches now that he's got this podcast.
No comment.
Yeah, well, what can I say? That's why you're entitled to my opinion. Anyway, Texas Farm Bureau, Melissa Harmon, did you meet her yesterday?
I did.
All right. And, she's my agent now. And 682-804-0534. It's, you watch the commercials, they say, oh, just 15 minutes, say $15. That ain't going to happen.
No.
It'll take you time, and you need an agent to kind of navigate this if you're changing over or getting it for the first time.
Well, hey, I want to make a little note on this.
Yeah.
You do need to call Melissa if you'd like to, but you need to check your limits on your home insurance in particular, because like my house, I just had to increase my limits because if my house burns down, my limit was what I purchased it for. I can't replace my house for that.
Well,
So I need to have my limit to be what it would cost me to replace.
well, the good thing is we were able to raise our limits when I changed over, and it saves me about $63 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. Life insurance, that's the one that is more problematic for me because of my diabetes and all that, and I'm 60. And so you need somebody that can navigate through that. She saved me about $35 on the car insurance per month.
That's good.
Yeah, well, you think, it's $35. Was that a couple pizzas? No,
That's like 6 Starbucks, right?
Yeah,
7
right.
Starbucks?
Well, yeah, look at it. It's, every time I save money on
Okay,
it.
I don't know. I don't drink Starbucks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm glad they're not a sponsor.
They're higher than $5 now?
I don't know.
What?
But
That's
I
why I'm
look at
trying
it.
this one. $4.75.
Oh,
Ooh, wow.
okay.
My Starbucks drink is like $7.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay.
So, okay, Taylor, where did you get your coffee?
Dutch Bros.
Okay, Dutch Bros. That just
Okay.
opened up.
My second time, for the record.
So they get a
Yeah.
little free shout out.
I
Today.
need to try it, but I'm a black coffee drinker, so I just really don't like to pay people for that.
I feel you right there. I had black coffee this morning.
Yeah.
Well, but the way I look at it is if I save $35 a month, I multiply it by 12 to put it in an annual basis. So it makes it sound like I'm really saving money.
You did save money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my dad says you save $1,000 by saving $1 1,000 times. And now,
Your dad was a
Wow.
wise
yeah.
man.
And lastly, well, it's taking a while to get through these
I
sponsors.
know. Sorry.
It's all right. Pinnacle Concepts with the Net Juicer. She's going to be redesigning the studio.
Oh, she is? I would love to chat with her.
Okay.
You know how I love design.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's 303-324-9906. Give her a holler.
I haven't met her yet.
Yeah. And she's, moving in from Colorado. And,
okay.
and she's trying to get, the whole thing. She does a lot more than just design. But that's one thing she's pushing now is design.
Right.
But she does commercial and residential stuff, does the whole thing. So anyway, but she was on last Thursday, and we talked about it. And then she and Taylor started talking. And about a month, they're going to redesign the studio. And we're going to put in some chairs and like a sofa and love seats. And
Oh, I like that.
I think
Because I was looking at one of our past ones when we had chairs, and I just like the way it looked better.
so does Robin. She said, you need to do something because it looks like you're interrogating them. And I go, well,
Oh, Robin. I love Robin.
is she a sweetie or what? Anyway,
She is.
let's talk about real estate, which
Okay.
ain't so sweet. I read in the paper, in the Dallas paper, that the home values of DFW for the first time, like mine, dropped. But in some places it dropped a whole lot more. Is that just a reaction to what they read in the news about the real estate rates and the mortgage rates and whatnot? Or is this just like a necessary slowdown because we really went up too fast and now we need to slow down some?
I think the slowdown is a natural slowdown.
Yes.
I think it definitely needed to slow down. The DFW Metroplex as a whole gained about 30% last year. That's crazy numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I think the slowdown was inevitable and had to happen. But I think that the dropping is not necessary per se, because here's what's happening is, and I've had many conversations with all agents. We're kind of like beating our head against the wall. Like, what is going on? Okay. So you've got a lot of factors. You have interest rates going up, which we've been in the 2s and the 3s for way too long. So now people are freaking out about the 6.5, right? Which is still not a bad interest rate over 30 years.
Yeah, but when you're used to paying 3.5 to 4.
Yeah, but that's, you and I both know economically that cannot be maintained long term.
No, it's
not for good banking practices.
No.
I mean, that's not a healthy
No, it isn't.
rate at all.
But you tell people that, and they're like, they don't understand it. They think the lower the rate is automatically a good thing, but not necessarily.
It affects other avenues of earnings. So yeah, it's a balance. But the issue is, it's almost like the market was in full speed and came to a dead stop. And so we're all like, where did all the buyers go? Because it's not because there aren't buyers. There are plenty of buyers. Everyone is in a hold pattern. And I think the problem right now is they're all waiting to see what their rates do. Can I just say out loud, they're only going to continue to go up?
Well, everybody that works for the Fed tells you that. I mean, Jerome Powell's been saying that. We still got ways to go.
So if 6.5 is scaring you, 8.5 by December is going to freak you out.
Good grief.
Do you see what I'm saying? So like, if you need a house and you want a house, now's the time. Like, you got to get in before it continues to go up.
Well, when we bought our house, we built our house back in the summer of 91. We financed it at 9.5.
Right.
And I was told that was a good rate. I'm thinking,
Probably was.
9.5. But then when I was in high school, they were up like 14, 15%.
Well,
They get up to
1982
21.
it was 18.75.
Yeah, right. And I remember, like, how can anybody buy a house at that rate? And I was just some snotty college kid. I wouldn't pay attention to that all the time. But, people think, wow, I can't afford a house at 6%.
The other thing
That's
what
not
people
historically
don't
high.
realize is that some of you are paying 30% on credit cards. And that is not a fixed rate. That's a daily accrued interest. It's not like a house. Yeah. So like, I feel like we need just a good economic lesson.
Yeah, well, not everybody was as fortunate as
Allard. I feel like America as a whole is not really understanding the basics of economics.
I heard, and a lot of them are in elective office too, and that's the sad thing. I mean, when I see some of these politicians talk, I'm like, who taught you economics? That's nuts. This modern monetary theory, like, that's a big pile of crapola. But anyway, that's just a different topic. But just a lot of people, I think you're right, though. They look at a 6.5% mortgage rate and they go nuts, but then they'll run balances on their credit cards.
Right.
And I told both my kids, pay them off, if you haven't yet, and keep them at zero at the end of the month. I mean, you could use them during the month, but then zero them out. And that's,
there is a trick if you keep them at 29%. If you keep it 29% revolving, it will actually increase your credit score.
Well, I'm not worried.
Pretty substantially. I mean, I'm just saying for people who are looking to buy a house, there are tricks and trades of credit that you can play with. I don't suggest, like, on an everyday basis, keep that. But if you're
I've
looking,
heard that too. That basically, if you have credit, use it, and you'll improve your score. And I'm like, well, that's kind of, to me, if I have credit, then I already need I already have what I need. Do I need to improve my credit score even more if I'm already getting credit?
But credit is it's a tough game to play. So you have to play by the rules that make no sense.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately. The other thing I was going to say is that, now that the market is kind of at a dead stop because everyone's in a hold pattern, we have sellers who are also panicking. 3 months ago, I could have gotten 20,000 over asking. Some of them 100,000 over ask. That's pretty rare. That's not our area, but there are areas. And now we're sitting, right? Our days on market are insane. And so,
Wait, okay, what are they now? You say they're insane. What is it? What would it be normally and is now?
Well, normally, you mean normally as when we were in a normal market,
No.
or normally as in last year?
Well, okay, last year I know they were like just flying off the market.
3 to 10 days is what it was.
Right. It's somewhere even.
And now we're at 30 to 60 days.
And isn't that more typical?
Yeah, that's typical. That's more typical. But when you in May, we're at 3 to 10 days, and not even 6 months later, you're at 30 to 60 days. You can see how that would feel like something's happening. Something is happening.
Yes.
Because people have stopped buying, even though the market is still very healthy to buy. So you're going to create a problem you don't want happening just in the actions. Does that make sense? Like,
well, yes.
It's that idea of like, oh, someone said the sky was falling, so the sky starts to fall.
Right? I talk about this in my economics classes when I taught those, is that a lot of times these things are like forecast or they're self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yes.
Particularly like stock markets. Oh, the market's about to crash.
Stock markets, for sure.
If it's going to crash, I'm going to sell now, and everybody sells and it crashes. And and so that's what happens. I think when you see these bad days on Wall Street, is they see the market going down, and say, "Oh, I better get out now," and they just accelerate the crash. And this is what's I think happening here in the houses as well. Is that they were so used to basically the seller having like several options after a weekend showing, and most of them over asking price. And when that's not happening now, they think, this sky is falling.
There is a portion of the market that's still very healthy, moving very steadily, and that is the 450 and under.
If you could find a decent house for that.
Yeah. I mean, 450 still, in Burleson, you can get a really nice house for 450.
Well, right. Sure you can, but I looked at when...
The 300 and under is still crazy.
Yeah, that's really tough. I mean, a lot of these smaller houses, I just see it, on pop-up ads or whatever else, and they're like, wow, this 1,100 square foot's going for what, $320? What are the toilets made of gold? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like that wouldn't even. You could have bought something like that out of pocket about 10 years ago, and now it's like $300,000 for 1,200 square feet.
Yes, but my parents also bought their house for $17,000 in 1970. It's all relative, right?
I guess.
So, I understand, but the job economy is still very good. So, as far as in Texas, our job economy is still very good. We don't have a very high unemployment. Big companies are still moving this direction. So, we'll see what happens in the next year with jobs and inflation. The whole thing is that the Fed is trying to offset inflation, but we keep spending. We're spending retail like crazy, right? We're spending tons of money. America is spending money.
Well, not in the Allard home. Robin's like, look,
you're not the typical American, though.
Yeah, well, I like to think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm kind of a cheapskate. I mean, it's like, okay, these pants, a little ragged at the bottom, but they still fit. And, I bought them when, 30 years ago, but they're still
I feel like we're about to get a story of how he walked to school uphill in the snow.
No.
Yes.
I'm just saying,
That's not the normal
I don't need to buy a lot of stuff.
No, and nobody really does. But we are spending money. That's what's continuing to feed the inflation monster, is the constant spend.
Well, there's other things that are causing it as well.
Well, yes, but we're not helping. But we also, I guess I'm at a loss because I'm like, you're not going to buy a house that will. Long term will create wealth. I'm not saying in the next year, I don't really know what the housing market's going to do in the next year, but when we rose 30%, it's not going to fall 30% in 1 year.
No.
So you're still, like Teresa had asked me on my page, if you're going to have negative equity. That would take a lot. I mean, basically, the United States as a whole would be in a depression if you were in negative equity compared to what you were in 2020.
Right.
Because we gained so much equity just in 1 year. If you go 3 years, I have people who are like at 60 something % equity over 3 years. So no, the likelihood of negative equity is very, very minuscule.
I don't think the same conditions that caused the crash in '08 exist now because of some of the safeguards and laws they put in, because there was a lot of cowboys out there in the Linden world, like Countrywide and things like that.
Well, I can tell you that we did some real estate in California in 06-ish.
Right.
05, 06. It was scary. Like the things that they were lending to, like they didn't even know it was like a real person. You know, it was all, there was a whole lot of stated, a whole lot of interest only, a whole lot of, you know, there's a lot of products that were just like in and of themselves are good products, but when they don't have any oversight, it's creating a disaster.
Well, I remember one in particular is the balloon payment kind of thing where they would put you in the house and you're paying below what you normally would. And then boom, it'd go up the next year to.
Oh, the next year. Yeah. You could do an ARM, like a 15-year ARM is a little bit different, but ARMs are going to come back.
They don't know what that means.
Y'all be ready. It's an adjustable rate mortgage. So if you have a 15-year ARM, you have a set rate for 15 years. And at the 15-year, or it could be a 7-year ARM too. At the 15-year, the rate goes up to whatever is the going rate at the time. Or it can be substantially higher. The idea of an ARM is that people in America don't buy their houses and stay 15 years or 30 years. You're a rarity there too.
Well, it's because I'm too lazy to move.
Most people are 2 to 5. I think that's going to increase to about 3 to 7 and maybe max 10 years. But every 10 years, people are moving on average. You know, I mean, I think that in the next 5 years, you're going to see that 10 is still going to be a long time in a house.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, but you know, when I was a kid, we moved around because my dad was moving up the company he worked for, and so that was, you know, not unusual. But I've been told living in a house as long as I have is very unusual.
It's very unusual,
and we don't plan on moving. Robin and I like it there. We're going to do some major renovations this summer, so that'll be nice for at least we'll be inconvenienced for a little while anyway. But, you know, I don't really worry about another meltdown like we did in '08, but my concerns about the economy really aren't based on what's happening with real estate. Back in '08, it was those real estate loans and the derivatives they created and all these different...
The packaging that they were doing.
Those bundles of debt equities. And it's like, oh boy. It's like they were inventing ways to put your money at risk. I think some of that isn't quite as prevalent now, I hope. At least I don't, not that I've read, I haven't seen it. But I don't really worry about my home decreasing in value. You know, but I just think of how hard it is for younger people to get in houses.
It is. I mean, here's the deal. Right now, because you're having such a whiplash effect, right now is the time for buyers to get deals. And I say that because you have a lot of sellers who put their house on the market July, August, and we kind of came to a dead stop, right? For a lot of people. And so now they're negotiable. If you want closing cost, ask for closing cost. If you want a lower price, ask for all of it. Because now's the time they're going to negotiate. Before it was like, basically the buyer's like, oh, please, sir, please take my offer. I just gave you my firstborn child.
Well, that's still a deal, by the way, for me. You know, Hayden's driving me a little nuts, but, you know, so he's 30, but he's still available for adoption. I'm just saying.
That's still a deal. But now is the time, because I think what's going to happen is we're in a whiplash effect, and then people are going to realize, they're going to come out of the fog and realize, oh, those rates are not going down. We do need a house. We don't want to rent forever. So now we're going to buy, and then you're going to see more pockets of buyers come back. And then your negotiating power is less as a buyer, because now you've got more buyers in the market. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. Now, let's say you have this vision in your head of the house you want, and you can't afford it right now. Is it better to save, and work towards that, or is it better to buy a house?
It's better to get in the market.
You just dive in first. So you buy yourself a smaller house that you don't intend to stay there the rest of your life, so you can build equity and move up.
Yes,
right?
Because the real estate market historically is moving better than any investment you're going to have just throwing your money in 401ks and all of that. Like, I mean, you're going to make more money currently with real estate. It's also collateral, right? It's like real property. It's not just like, oh, they said it was worth that, right? So I always tell all of my clients, because so many times over the last 8 years, I've been asked, what happens if the market goes down? You stay longer.
Yeah, you'll stay an extra year.
You just stay in that house longer. It's just an exit strategy, right? If you get transferred, you rent that house. You don't sell for a loss. You find, and is it ideal? No, not ideal, but you have someone else make that payment and you continue to build your equity. If you already have enough equity, you're like, hey, yeah, we can sell this house and go. It just, you just have to know what exit strategy fits your life at that moment.
Well, I know, I'll just use my son. He just moved to Oklahoma City and he wanted to buy a house, but they're going to rent for a while. And I'm like, maybe you ought to buy a house that's smaller than what you envision for yourself, but that's not your final destination, you know. And he's thinking about it. You know, I'm going to see him pretty soon. We'll visit about it. But I just didn't know what to tell him.
I think first time buyers, especially if you don't have children, buy a good investment and let that work for you. I would not encourage my children to go out and buy a giant house.
Well,
that they don't really even use the square footage, right?
Well, my son's cheapskate like me. That's one thing he took after me, among others. But certainly not his political attitudes. But that's another story. Yeah, but you know, that's all right. He can think for himself. Blah blah blah.
Isn't that what you taught us? That's what he taught us to think for ourselves. So now he's going to gripe about his own kid.
No, I was trying to teach y'all to vote for whatever Republican you wanted.
No, I never got that.
I know that's a joke, but no, I'm proud of the fact that he does have his own mind, even though where are you getting this?
Yeah,
but that's fine.
That's okay.
But you know, we were talking about buying versus renting, and he's of the mind that he wants to accumulate capital and buy the house he wants, as opposed to, buying a house now and staying there 2, 3, 4 years, and then kind of hopefully selling it for profit and moving up to a bigger.
Well,
stake.
Has he never played Monopoly?
No, I don't know.
Monopoly is a great example of real estate.
We played a lot of Risk.
Yeah.
That Risk and Thomas the Tank Engine.
I mean, you get 3 houses and then you get a hotel, right?
I guess.
That's how it works.
Is that what you do in your spare time? You and the kids play Monopoly?
I do love Monopoly, but it just takes too long.
Oh, okay.
We have to play the short game. The short version. You have to dole out all the things.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. You basically pass out all the properties and then you go from there.
But what kind of lesson are you teaching your children, taking the shortcut like that?
I know, but I don't have time to play Monopoly.
Well, anyway, I tell you, I talk about this with the mayor and talk about it with city council people all the time, is that this rising values is a two-edged sword, because it's great for the community, but it also makes your tax payments go up.
Well, I think for sure we have to push for higher exemptions, especially for homeowners. Like if it's your homestead, now we did just vote on increasing the homestead exemption, and but it's not substantial. It's not as big as it could be. That's a state issue. They're gonna have to figure out a way to offset property taxes. And if I'm honest, you can't take off the table income tax.
Like we did about 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, because now all property owners are the ones, fronting the bill for everything in the state. And then you also, I understand we want those big companies here, that we give them these huge corporate tax breaks, but then property owners are the ones, still those corporations are good to have here for jobs, but their taxes would be great too.
Well, and I've said this many times, and some of my more conservative friends think I've been reading Karl Marx or something. I think the way we do our taxes in Texas is just bass-ackwards.
It is.
Income tax has this negative connotation because of the way the federals use it and all this other stuff. But you're right. The homeowner is carrying all this burden. And then we have these really high sales taxes. And which is a pretty regressive system. I mean, really, our tax system really hits the middle class and the lower classes pretty hard. But what can you say? I mean, I voted against that constitutional proposition, and it passed like 5-1. And
Right.
so I thought then, and I think now
you
it's a bad
can't make
idea.
decisions for future generations like that.
Well, that and it's like like you said, you take it right off the table, and then you don't have any other options but to raise property taxes. And then even then, you have exemptions for agriculture, you have exemptions for homestead, you have freezes at age 65, all great. So who's picking up that slack? But it's always more and more the middle class.
Right.
Yeah. I'm about to get to that point. I'm not that far away from getting my taxes frozen, and that means somebody else is going to have their taxes raised.
Right.
And then
Well, and quite honestly, a huge chunk of your house payment is taxes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a huge chunk of it.
Absolutely.
Because you'll see the P&I on your interest rates. It's not, even as those interest rates are going up, that the P&I amortized over 30 years is not that high. It's the taxes that will kill you because those are going to continue to go up to some degree.
Every month I get my statement.
Yeah.
From the mortgage company, and I'm irritated just how small I'm paying towards principal.
Yes.
It's like all the categories, principal is the lowest.
Yeah.
Interest is higher. The taxes certainly are. The insurance is not
And
much
insurance
higher.
will continue to go up, especially we've just had a huge hurricane. That's going to affect our insurance rates.
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to ask you about is that when we have a natural disaster like that, does that affect home building here in Texas?
I think any kind of natural disaster anywhere affects all the supply chains, and the contractors, because there's been a mass exodus of contractors to go to Florida to make the bucks, right? Like there's a lot of work, and a lot of them go for per diem and steady work, and so then we have a lack of contractors.
So if I want some work done around the house, like some,
I can still find like the work around the house people. I'm talking about like
D.R. Horton kind of people.
I'm talking about like labor, like framers, and the people that don't do the glamorous jobs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The contractors, they're the ones that are looking at the blueprint.
And it's usually their labor that's leaving. It's not the actual contract. I mean, sometimes the contractor will, like a big plumber might go, but it's normally the labor. So then we have a labor shortage.
Well, there's a couple of folks at BNI, and they say this all the time. So, what used to take us about 3 weeks to get to is taking us 3 months to get to, because not just because the insurance delays, the insurance companies have been a lot more picky, yes, about replacing roofs or whatever else.
Yes.
But it's harder to find good roofers because, like you said, they're making a track over to Florida.
Right, they're chasing the storms.
Yeah. And so I'm, guys, if you want to have a roof done,
you can't. I understand it.
Well, it's economics.
Yeah, I get it.
They can't sit around here and drink coffee while their buddies are making tons of money in Florida.
Yeah.
And then insurance companies and the government and all that's paying for it. I don't blame them, but it is going to impact us here.
Yeah.
And so when you get clients, which one do they look for? Used home, so to speak, or a new home?
Usually I sell more used.
Yeah.
Or pre-built.
Pre-built. So that's how you don't want to use. Make it sound like you're buying an old Chevy or whatever.
There's a place for new homes. I tend to sell to people who want a more established neighborhood. I do sell new homes. And I have many clients who look at both, but most of them tend to go toward pre-built because they are cheaper. I mean, price per foot, they are always cheaper.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So it really just depends on what you need, how long you're going to stay. What is the exit strategy? You'll hear me say that a lot. Like, that's the whole thing with real estate. I tell my kids that all the time. Like, real estate is all about the exit. Because you can enter at a bad time. I think people who entered at 2021, that was probably a really bad time to enter, honestly. Just because everything was so inflated, right? Now is getting better to enter. It was a great time to exit. 2021 was a great exit, not a great entrance. But that's okay. Those people who bought in 2021, just stay put a little bit longer. Just, you just may have to tell yourself, okay, I did buy that smaller house because that's all I could find. That's all that was available. And it was inflated, but now I'm just going to have to stay, instead of staying 3 years, I'm going to stay 5 years.
One thing I did read also is that you get these companies that are buying a lot of these smaller homes and turning them into rentals.
Yeah, you have a lot of corporations.
Right. I mean, I get 2-3 calls a week. It seems like, hey, we want to buy your house. Well, I know why they want to buy my house. They want to rent it.
Yeah.
They're not going to turn it around.
You've seen a lot of that cash back away, though,
Yeah.
as of recently. I've seen a lot more of the investors trying to get in and get the deals than the corporations who are like, oh, we'll pay you what you want, right? Because they were giving asking because they knew rent was going to be up. But now they've they've backed their cash off for a minute too.
Well, I've seen.
So that's actually good for buyers because you're not competing as much with cash now where you were in 2021.
Oh yeah,
There was so much cash.
Yeah, and there were just huge numbers of homes being taken off the market.
Right.
And I thought, man, is this where we're heading as a society? Because one of the foundations, I guess, of the American dream was home ownership.
Yeah.
And a lot of government policies over the years have been pushing home ownership, even to the point, like we had that meltdown in 2008. I think a lot of that was the government trying to push people into homes that really didn't need to be affording homes.
Right.
Because there's all these other benefits politically, I'm sure, is what they're thinking. But
Yeah.
there is economic benefits to owning a home, but still.
Well, I think the way the loans are done now, you can afford that home. You have to prove you can afford it, right? So unless you're losing your job, which that can happen, does happen, you know that when you go into a house now, you can afford it. In 2008, people were buying houses they truly could not have qualified for. They just could not have. I mean, they really didn't have to prove verification of employment. They didn't really have to prove an income. There was so much stated income going on. Like you just tell the lender what you make. What?
Yeah, just tell them no proof needed, huh?
Yeah. And there was a lot of and I appreciate that to a certain degree for our cash job people. Like there are people in the service industry that a lot of their stuff is tips. A lot of it is cash. And it's hard to prove on your taxes exactly what you've made. So for people like that, like the stated income is great as long as you're actually making that money. But the problem is there's no proof to it either.
Right.
There's no consistency or proof. So,
well, but when I saw this, I thought that's just going to make this wealth gap even more so.
Oh, for sure.
Because the wealth gap, I've been told that the easiest way to eliminate that gap is home ownership.
It is.
And
it's the first pillar of wealth, real estate.
And if you're just going to have these major corporations, some of them foreign corporations, buying up thousands and thousands of houses and turning them into rentals,
right?
That's just going to make it even worse.
Well, you had a couple of things happening. You had corporations buying for rentals, but you also had hedge funds buying real estate as investment opportunities for 401ks, and you know what I'm saying. They were taking pulling people's money together and buying real estate because real estate was earning more per year than what they were earning in mutual funds and the stock market.
Certainly now the market's dropped some. My 401k, my wife's 401k to be precise, has dropped. I thought it would drop even more, and so I asked our advisor, "What's the story?" And he talked about some of these diversified investments, and he mentioned real estate and that kind of stuff to try to hedge against, literally, against all this stuff we're talking about. But you're in the business. Do you see this like a year from now? We'll be having this conversation, and it's even more dire, or do you think it'll just be more normal, like what we've been used to the last 30 years?
I feel like we're going to even off.
Even off?
I think it's going to even, because people still need homes. Here's the thing, like, I posted a thing on my page about, and go back and look, because it's really just me going through the historical facts of interest rates and housing crises. We've only had three total housing crises in the entirety of the United States history. One was at the end of the 1840s, 1837. It lasted to 1840.
Right. You learned that in my class.
And then the other one was in the Great Depression. And then the last one was 2008. We've had cyclical effects of housing for sure. Housing is cyclical. I mean, it's going to go up and down,
that?
yeah.
Or is it more like this?
Yeah, I think I don't
okay,
know.
all right, whatever.
But, so when we start to panic, we're going to have another. The problem is we're so close to the last one. 2008 was not very long ago, right? So now we still have a memory of that.
Right.
But before that, the last one was 1929.
Well, some people think I would remember that, but no, not quite. I wasn't quite there yet. Well, I guess it just, more than any other asset, people worry about their houses.
Yeah.
Because so much of their wealth is tied up in it. So much of their capital is tied up in it. And it's also their home. It's
still also the best avenue for investment.
That's what I've always been told.
It's always been that. That's why it creates wealth, and it's going to continue to be the best avenue.
As far as the industry itself, it seems like there's a lot of brokers out there. Is it expanding in number of people that's selling?
No, I think that will retract this year.
Okay,
that was the another issue that I feel like. I mean, I'm just giving my opinion because. It's worth what it's worth.
Yeah.
But in the last 3 years, we've added so many agents because they saw the opportunity. The issue when you become an agent, when the going is good, you don't learn how to work in the hard. And so there will be plenty of agents that shift and do fine. They have the personality for it. They have the drive for it. They're going to do fine. But you're going to see a lot of the agents who are like, oh, I'm just going to get in real estate so I can make some money. Yeah. It's a stressful job. And, it's a lot of managing emotions. It's a lot of talking people through what's happening right now. It's a lot of checking numbers. I check my numbers for my listings weekly and I report. Here's where we're at. Here's what I think. I have to email other agents and ask them what's going on. What's going on with your buyers? What are your buyers saying to you?
If it's anything like buying insurance, I think buying real estate must be much harder because I could just imagine from my vantage point all the hundreds and hundreds of details that have to all work together, and then one guy doesn't get the paper to you in time, or this other event happens.
There are over 40 outs in a contract for a buyer, and we have to know every single one.
Yeah, but there's everybody has to be doing their job. It isn't you show your client a nice house, they say, here's your check, thank you very much.
Right.
Everybody's got to get it done, and if they don't get it done,
you have to work well with others.
Yeah.
I mean, you really, really do.
You learn a little tact and diplomacy when, somebody you were depending on didn't come through with it when they said they would, and that kind of stuff. And I could just see that now more clearly just after the few years I've been kind of out of school and I've been able to pay attention to the things. It's like, I don't know if I could do it. I really don't know. I'm not good at handling minor little obstacles.
Yeah.
If my car blew up, that's irritating. Oh, you didn't get that paper in time? I'm going to go ballistic, and that kind of stuff, Right.
Yeah. It's, a lot of managing emotions, a lot of, your brain has to be able to be doing many things at once. And
then you have to hold the client's hand, I'm sure.
For sure.
They're about to spend this big whopping dough.
It's scary. It's scary. It's the biggest purchase they'll ever make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You work on it, and they start, I don't know. And you're like, no, by God, you're buying this house. I put too much work in this thing. You're buying it.
I'm such a logical person that I would rather show you why it's going to work for you than I'm probably not the one who's going to appeal to emotion.
No.
I never want to sell anything on emotion because I feel like you're going to have an emotional hangover after you purchase if it doesn't make sense logically.
Well, see, so when you're working on a client, you don't show them pictures of your kids and raggedy old clothes and go, well, I'm hoping to feed them this week.
No.
Nothing like that. No. You try it. It might work.
It might.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it works.
Okay, I'll buy this house so your children can go to school with shoes. I'm sure, being an agent, the hardest thing to me also is the irregular hours. I like my weekends,
Yeah. I've kind of always worked a job that was irregular hours, so I'm used to it. My kids are used to it. We just kind of shift. It's a give and take.
A lot of evenings.
Yeah. It's a give and take on hours. If you give up this, you're also going to gain something on the other side.
Yeah. Well, see, that was what I saw with a lot of the agents that were working every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, and but they're missing the football game. How's that going to work?
You just record it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's
We
right.
can do that now.
We could do that now. I think there's something called VHS tape.
VHS tapes.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a little behind, but there you are. I'll show you my flip phone. But anyway.
Did nobody have any questions? Like, really?
No, not really, because I think you explain things so well that they
I don't think that's true.
No.
People are going to have a million questions.
Well,
later.
later they'll post them or whatever else. So they'll put them on your page, maybe not on this one.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just shy, But
So if you are I'm going to tell you, you don't have to, I don't have to be your agent. It's fine. You know
no,
what
you
you
need,
know
you
an
need
agent.
to use you.
I'm just saying that if you are thinking about buying and the interest rates are scaring you, my first suggestion to you would be to talk to your agent, but also talk to your lender and have them work up the difference in the interest rate. Like if you think, I would have bought at 5.5%. Well, the price range you're in, you need to see the actual monthly difference on your P&I between the price range you're in, but at a 5.5 or 6.5 and a 7.5. It's not as much as you think every month. Because when we think, it's just too high, it's just too high. No, you have to know all the facts before you make the decision, right? And then if it's still too high, okay, it's still too high, then what you can do is you can either negotiate the house you want at a lower price that helps you get to the price you need, or you can ask that seller for what we call concessions. A lot of people don't know what that is. That is the seller paying either closing costs on your behalf, or they can also buy down your rate for you. So they can buy points on your rate for you. So you need to ask your lender, like, if I wanted to buy points, what would that cost me? And then you may be able just to get that rate exactly where you want it, and the seller pays for it for you. So there are so many options.
All keeping that all straight, it's like I need a brochure, okay,
But that's why you have to know, you have to have a good agent and you have to have a good lender.
These people that sell their homes on their own, are they taking a big risk?
Yes.
So, by owner or
a
these other
huge
outfits?
risk. And here's the deal. Like, I sold 3 houses on my own. I'm not going to lie, before I was an agent, but I also had extensive experience in real estate.
That's the deal though, because a lot of these people that don't.
I knew how to read the contract.
Yeah,
I
right.
worked at a
That's
title
not the
company.
same thing. I'm talking about just a civilian that doesn't know all the details, but they want to save on the agent fee and whatever else.
Well, I can guarantee you're leaving money on the table just because you don't want to pay an agent 6%. A lot of people are leaving 20% or more on the table.
So whatever they gain for not paying a fee, they lose more than twice.
And you're
less
also,
revenue.
you don't know the rules of how many outs a buyer has in over 40 outs in a contract. And that increases every year. Like when I first came in, it was like 32. And every year there's a few more little things that the buyer can get out of the contract in.
I one time said the R word in front of an agent, Redfin.
Oh, yes.
And I thought she just stopped talking and looked at me with this look of disappointment in her face, like, how do you know that, Redfin? And she explained it to me what it was, and because Redfin apparently is not an agent's best friend. So
Redfin, the thing about Redfin, it's a great business model for Redfin. But what it does is it exhausts. It takes hungry agents. And they put them on a salary, which is a very low salary. And then they feed them leads, right? They feed them leads, which you're getting a multitude of leads. But if anybody has ever talked to you about leads that real estate agents get, most of the time we're beating our head against the wall. They're not great leads.
Right.
I have successfully done my business probably 98% referral. Every now and then I'll try a lead source.
Well, and the other 2% is Mr. Allard's neighborhood.
Right,
okay,
right.
Okay, there you go.
Wait, that's a referral.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, good.
I'm just saying, like, every now and then I'll try a lead source, but they're hard. Lead sources are very hard to work. They're very much people kicking tires. So then you have these agents who are working these leads nonstop, constantly showing. And then Redfin takes, I want to say it's 60% of their commission.
It's a lot.
They're making very little for the work that they're putting in.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it looks great on paper, but you have a lot of agents that are getting burned out that could be excellent agents, but they get burned out very quick, and it's just a constant turnover.
How many people work with you? You're not just by yourself.
Yeah, I have two. I have one in Dallas and I have one in Johnson County. I am actually recruiting this year and building my team.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you know an agent that is like, hey, they're kind of on their own and this market's a little bit scary to be on your own, then have them reach out to me. I do not just accept anybody. You have to fit the culture and the family style that we have and all the things like, but I'm always open to have a conversation with people. And I'm always open to help other agents that maybe don't want to go to a team but have questions.
The hard sales approach need not apply. You want somebody that's going to work with the client. That's why you say turning transactions into relationships.
Yes.
That's your motto.
Yes.
Well, it's getting close to time, and I believe you have somewhere to be.
I do actually.
Yeah.
I do actually.
Cool.
Oh, we're actually okay.
You're okay. I know you're busy, just here, there, man. Got all these things going on. In the last couple of minutes, tell us what you think we should know as rookies out here in the real estate area. What should we know about what's going on here in Burleson?
Yeah, I think that we won't know exactly what the market looks like for another 3 to 4 months. We're all in this. We're all kind of like, what's happening? This is different. It feels different. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I just would encourage you that if you do need a house, now is still the time to buy. Mm-hmm. It really, really is. And now is the time, like I said, with the whiplash. Mm-hmm. That's the whiplash effect that's happening. Now is the time that you can negotiate. So, I mean, if you want to walk away feeling like, okay, I feel pretty good about that, now is the time.
Okay.
Because I don't know what it's going to look like in 6 months. It may just be people realizing, oh yeah, it's not going down. Now we got to get a house.
Well, we're going to have you on again before 6 months. So, but we'll have probably more to talk about. Maybe around
and every month I'll give you kind of
an
update as to what's going on.
I appreciate that because I'm not for myself, I'm not looking to buy, but I'm always interested in real estate for some reason. I like, what's going on in the urban areas and such as that, but I just need perusing the news.
And I will say investors are still buying, which means that the market is still healthy. Mm-hmm. So you'll have local investors still continuing to buy. So, that's a good point.
Well, I'd like to also end this show, since I'm talking to a real estate agent who probably is, just to be an agent itself is crazy to begin with. We probably should talk about mental health issues and the Rise Mental Conference. It's coming up on this Saturday, and if you want to sign up, it's still available, but there's no fee, but you need to sign up, and it's going to be a pathway from 9 to 3. And I was talking to a couple of the guests earlier that are involved in Rise. And, we're talking about the mental health issues, how necessary they are to be addressed because, people my age have a hard time addressing it. I hope there's people my age that will take advantage of this. Mental health seminars, no cost. And so you could find out various treatments, I guess, or what's going on with it. Or, if you have a loved one that's needing of service, you could find out where these services could be obtained and things of that nature. Sarah Nicole Tynan has been putting this together, and it's been really it's really great. Camille was on on Tuesday, and we talked about this quite a bit. And this is very interesting. It's something that the people that are putting it on hope to do so every year.
Yeah. So
mental health conference, Rise, Saturday.
Well, I think we talk about our surgeries, but we won't talk about our mental health. It's very strange to me.
And it doesn't conflict with the Harvest Lantern Festival.
It does conflict with Founders Day, but
that's this Saturday's.
I'll be at Founders Day.
Well, Founders Day and this, and this Tiffany's deal, Harvest Moon.
Yeah.
Is going to be kind of coordinating together.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really busy Saturday. This Saturday,
it is.
I believe the farmers market's going to be on tomorrow night.
I think is it date night?
Yeah, date night. And I did that last year with Robin, and it really is it's fun.
Yeah,
it's kind of sweet. But it's Saturday. You're going to have lots of options to what to do. You can go to. And you don't have to go and stay all day at one of them.
Right? Yeah, you could go to
this conference maybe for a couple hours, and then and see what's going on. Then go to Founders Day. Then go to Tiffany's party over at
I will tell
Standard.
you that my number 3 child is our new mascot, and she has a new outfit. You might have seen her video. She loves it, and she's going to be handing out little goodies in her new
Mascot
new outfit
for
our team. The Stogsdill group has a mascot. Yep.
My goodness. That right there is worth the.
She's going to come and do all the community events and take pictures with all the children and entertain
what's
all
she
the
gonna
people.
be dressed as?
She's a blow-up panda. It's adorable.
Of course.
You know, I would not do that, but
Oh yeah.
if
the
you
ex-cheerleader
once you
here.
meet Chandler, who's my youngest, you know she's made for that stuff.
Okay. Your own mascot. I was thinking, what, for like a soccer team
No,
or
like for
a
our
middle
team.
school team? No, for the Stogsdill group.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know I am a previous cheerleader. I have
Yes.
to have a mascot.
Yes, of course. We got to go now. All right, you got to make that trip. We'll see y'all Monday with Tiffany, and she'll tell us all about what happened Saturday. All right, bye-bye.